wasn't sure what I would speak to you about today because there are very different aspects of my career that have been very interesting, but I've decided that I would talk to you about my personal story. And when I got here, either heard or I read, you must do what you think you cannot do. So here it goes. You'll never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. I've learned very early on never to sweat the small stuff. And really, in the grand scheme of things, most of it is just all small stuff. I got married at a very young age. I was 19 years old, and it was 1975. Within a year, I was pregnant, and I was really excited to become a mom. In May of 1976, I delivered the most beautiful set of identical twin girls. They were small, but they were so beautiful. Within a few weeks, I was able to take them home, and my journey into motherhood began. The girls, Carrie and Carla, did not thrive very well. They got sick with pneumonia several times, and when they were a few months old, we all knew that they had serious health issues. We just didn't know what it was. The young lives included hospital stays, and then at almost 6 months, Carrie had her 4th heart attack, and she passed away. Carla had 3, and we knew because they were identical twins, Carla would end up the same way. She was rushed to Sick Kids and started her journey to get better and stronger. An autopsy showed that Carrie, and eventually we knew Carla, had cystic fibrosis. It was something I never heard of. I was determined that I was going to do whatever I needed to do. Carla spent the next 6 months in Sick Kids becoming stronger and healthier, and I learned how to care for a girl with cystic fibrosis. I became very close to her, and we developed a special bond that just kept growing. I would have to go back and forth to Sick Kids every month for a checkup, and it was an outrageous cost at that time. But we did it. Almost a year later, I gave birth to another daughter, Carol. She was beautiful, perfect, and very healthy. For years, Carol would join me and Carla, and we would go on our many treks to Sick Kids and later to St. Mike's. This was all too much for my husband, and he wasn't around very much, so I had to take charge and get a job. I did in-home childcare for a few years. I also managed to get ulcers. I became very skinny, and I knew that I had to get a grip on my fear and get a grip on what was going on because I needed to control my fear of losing another child, and I needed to show the girls that you can be strong in whatever you face. When the girls got a bit older, Carla's health stabilized as did mine, and I had the opportunity to start my own business, Microwave World, and it was 1980. With no money, I was able to, and I had zero money, I was able to convince the suppliers that if they were lucky enough to be their products to be carried in my store, I would take their product, but I would pay for them after I sold the inventory. And they agreed. I didn't spend any time on what would happen, worrying about what would happen if it didn't work. I just knew that it was going to work. I just believed that it was going to work, and it did. I just focused on making and fitting everything in a very demanding schedule and to be there for my daughters. I knew Carla couldn't go in daycare, so I contacted one of her nurses, and she recommended a friend of hers who was living in Jamaica to come here to Canada and live with us, and that's what I did. She moved in with us, and the girls, although they weren't too thrilled at first, they thrived with Jean. Within the first year, my sales reached over $1 million, which was unheard of in an independent retail store selling just microwave ovens. There was lots to do, lots of challenges from me being a very young woman owning my own business. A lot of people didn't take me seriously, but when I became one of the highest independent microwave sales in the country, they had to take me seriously. The stories I could tell, the comments that I'm sure were meant to slow me down, I just kept moving forward. I got a lot of serious stuff to deal with in every day, so I wasn't going to worry about somebody else's small stuff or just pure ignorance. After 10 years of owning my own business, the microwave retail market changed, so I decided to sell the store in Sault Ste. Marie and close the store in Thunder Bay. After teaching for a college a few years, I finally legally separated from my husband and accepted a job as the business manager in the Business Development Corporation in Terrace Bay. And I took with my daughters, I took them with me. What I didn't realize that I had left a health insurance program, and because Carla had a pre-existing condition, 6 months later we found out she was not eligible for drug benefits. And that was really serious because by this time, Carla was up to $30,000 a year in prescription medication. So within 6 months of moving to Terrace Bay, I decided I better start another business. And I kept my day job as well. I rented some space in the local motel and opened up a bar called Moonlight and worked 9 to 5 in my day job and 6 till 1 in the morning in the bar. The girls had a lot of freedom. They were pre-teenaged and they just loved it. But I'm sure that I'm sure it was difficult for them at certain parts. I did end up hiring another full-time employee and took a couple of days off in the week. The bar did very well. I paid off all my bills from sick kids and later sold the bar. Carla was now 18 years old and she was able to be on disability and have most of her medications paid. Cystic fibrosis also started to have a toll on her body, and that scared the crap out of me. So I knew I had to handle that fear. In 1995, I met Jock. I felt like we had met or been together in a previous life. I was taken aback at how quickly I fell in love with him and how deeply I fell in love with him. We met in October and we were married in April. I'm sure my friends and family thought I was nuts. I've always believed, to this day, I believe that Jock was my gift from God to help me deal with some very serious challenges that I had yet to face. He is my anchor and he still rocks my world today. So with the girls off to school, my new husband living in Thunder Bay, I got tired of the 5-year commute. So I decided to accept a job with the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce and move back to Thunder Bay. It was during that time we learned that Carla would develop diabetes, arthritis, and a whole host of other challenges to her health. She lost many of her CF friends at that time, as there was now a super virus going around that was antibiotic resistant and was taking down these kids one by one. And I was always scared that she would catch that too. I would let my fears take a hold of me, and then one day, Carla and Carol sat me down in the kitchen table and they said, "You need to stop grieving. You need to stop grieving me and enjoying me because I'm here today." And that stayed with me and that struck with me and that stayed. It was very hard for me to hear. So I really worked hard at that. And Carla continued to take very good care of herself, and she bounced back whenever she got sick, and she was sick a lot. The job at the chamber grew, and I was spending so much time with work. I was up to 70, 80-hour weeks and working and lobbying, being out of town, that I wasn't always there for when Carla needed me. So after almost 10 years, I resigned and I was offered a new job, the executive director for Northern Ontario Angels. I could work from home, have normal hours. I mean, what was not to love about that? I accepted it and loved all of the new challenges. And the job is amazing. A few years later, Carla met Jeff. He was the man of her dreams. They dated a few years before he asked her to marry him. We were all really excited and happy because Jeff truly was a sweetheart. During that year planning her wedding, Carla did have some health challenges, but again, she always bounced back. Then one day she called me and asked if both Jock and I could visit her at St. Mike because she had some news. And her and Jock became very close. When she had some really heavy-duty challenges or some fears, and she knew that I would have some difficulties handling it, she would always tell Jock, and Jock would find the way to cushion the blow for me. But just the way she said it, I asked her, I said, "Are you pregnant?" And she said, "Oh God, no, just get over here and stop trying to guess what it is." We got there and we found out that Carla got the strain, that horrible virus, strain of Cepacia, the antibiotic-resistant virus. I felt like she was given a death sentence. I looked at her, went to the bathroom, and puked my face off. She handled it very well, and she was able to stay quite healthy. About 6 months before her wedding, she became quite ill, and Carol stepped in to help her with the wedding planning. But again, she bounced back, and she did quite well. The wedding day finally arrived, and it was beautiful. It was the wedding of her dreams, and it was at Liberty Grand. Everything was absolutely perfect with her mortgage-sized wedding. I mean, at this point, who can say no to somebody who has a terminal disease and is sick? You just say yes, yes, yes. So Jock again stepped up to the plate. We mortgaged our house, and she had the wedding of her dreams. Near the end of the evening, she had some trouble breathing, so we took her back to the hotel a little earlier than she wanted, but it was still respectable. 11:30 at night, and it's time a bride gets out of there anyways. The next day, through tears, she told us she knew she had to go back to the hospital. She had pneumonia, and she was in some trouble. I knew she would bounce back, and then I would lobby super hard for her to get a lung transplant. A few days later, she slipped into a coma, and she never came out. 10 days later, she was gone. I felt like my world had ended. It would be a year before I saw a day without tears. Once I was on a plane, and I can still remember this. I was on a plane going to Toronto, or coming back from Toronto, and I was a wreck. I was crying and losing it. And then I looked up, and there was a gentleman who looked at me, and I knew him from one of our First Nation communities here in Thunder Bay. He had also lost a child. He looked at me and said, "You will never get over this, but I promise you, you will get stronger and you will manage the pain. Just for now, be kind to yourself." And he was right. With the support of Jock, friends, and the family, I was getting stronger every day. I have learned your life experiences are your gifts to grow. With that new strength and with the help of Carol, I was able to see the gifts that Carla did give me. I could now travel, and I do. I travel all over the world, and I don't have to worry about a call from sick kids or rushing home. I have the gift of time to spend with Carol. She is truly an amazing, beautiful person, strong, independent, self-employed, self-secure young woman. Before, I was one of those people that never liked music, and really I didn't. Carla loved music, and I needed to hear her music over and over again. So now I have a ton of songs on my iPhone, enough that Carol borrows my iPhone when she has a group of people over. Songs that just make me happy. Jock and I travel a lot more than before. Jock took early retirement because he was going to be with Carla when she had her lung transplant, and when that didn't happen, I said to him, "Do you really want to go to work? Is it really worth it? We can do this." So now my job provides me with so many opportunities to meet people, help getting their businesses started, and watching them grow. And I get to do this from all over. I have changed in so many ways, but I still have a ways to go. 2 years ago, Carol developed a very large cyst on her ovary, and we had to rush to Minneapolis and get a specialist there to do the surgery. I got so scared that I would lose her, but I didn't. A year ago, Jock had a major heart bypass. He had 5 bypasses. I went straight to fear, a very dark place that I hate. I looked at him, and my last words to him before he went into surgery was, "Don't you dare." He did survive the surgery, and he's doing really well. Other times when I can't get a hold of Carol, because in the cell phone age, I can't get a hold of her, I go to that fear. Where is she? Is she all right? Because she lives out in Lappy. Did she get hit? Did she get into an accident? And I was afraid I would lose her, and I had to stop thinking like that. So I did a whole host of things that I won't get into now, but I've since learned to enjoy my time. I look at them as gifts that I'm going to celebrate, not fear that I'm going to lose. These are gifts that are in my life, and I let go of the fear. Fear is negative, and it hurts. There's nothing positive about fear for me. It didn't allow me to enjoy my experiences. I've learned how to let go and let most of it go. I've learned to trust in God or the higher power, to let go and just trust. I've also learned not to sweat the small stuff, not to care what people think as much. I've learned to enjoy my life. I eat the cake and I use the fine china. And I tell the people in my life what they mean to me. And I enjoy my gift of them that in my life. And that's my wish for you. Let go of your fear. Just enjoy your life. You deserve that. And if you wanted to start a small business and you're hedging on fear, just close your eyes and jump. The landing is good. What landing is not good is the doubt. Should I, could I, what would have happened if I didn't? So enjoy your life. Seek the adventures and just go for it, because you will have a soft landing. Thank you.